So it's sometimes about like kind of adjusting your language based on how it might be best received from the community, or kind of supporting like their goals as well as yours in a more like equitable way. I'm really sorry I have so many cars today. I don't even know. It's not even a holiday. Okay, and then collaboration. So it's really easy for mainstream organizations to see marginalized communities as
Hey, everybody. Hey, Bobby. Haven't seen you today. Sorry. It's been crazy. Can you hear me, Bobby? Maybe you can't even hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Thank you. Hey, Bobby, can you send by email the link again? Because
Hi, Gwen. This is Bobby Lawrence over at Purdue Extension.
how's everybody doing? Did you guys all get to go to the class last night? This time I was there this time.
I'm sorry, what did you want me to do, Lace?
I was just wondering if everybody was able to go to the class last night.
No, did you want me to do something? Send email to...
Gwen, but it sounds like you were calling her.
Yeah, her mailbox is full, so I called her, let her know. And I
Okay,
let her know that it was the same link as last week, so.
Thank you so much. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Looks like she's here. Good. I wish that there was more bugs outside because I would love to show them to you under the microscope. That was really fun. Do you have that YouTube video up from that time we did those under the microscope, Bobby? Like, I would love to show the stink bug. Remember his proboscis?
I can find it.
Thank you. And then can you give me the link? What did you guys think about all the insect talk last night?
So I'm not gonna have video. I'm in the van right now, but we have a famous superstar. You were one of our mods last night.
I know. I love being the mods with the entomology ladies. They're so fun.
You could tell they were hardcore into bugs.
Yeah, especially when they're always like, this cute little bug. I love how much they think the bugs are pretty and cute. I just think it's fun. Yep. Very hardcore into bugs.
I just don't know how you when you're a kid, you're like, I want to be an entomologist when I grow up. But I guess whatever. Everyone wants to do something. They just love bugs. I don't know. It was fun.
I know. I wish I would have known other options when I was going to school. I went to school for biology, which is a little bit too generic. I mean, so I kind of didn't even know you could go to school to be an entomologist. I mean, not that I would, but it's just neat how people find their passions and their careers. Sometimes passion is not a career, but that's fine. You can be a career and still be good at it, even if it's not your passion, but you can tell they really do like insects. I have to tell a nice story. I had my advisory council, which means like the people in the county that I would love to just tell me what they think our county needs. And the health department, one of the health department guys, he was saying that, have I already said this story? Sometimes I tell this story, but I don't know if I've told you guys yet. But he was really into mason bees. Did I already tell you the story?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, good. Okay. I must have told my husband because I don't know who I'm sometimes telling. But anyways, he's really into mason bees, and mason bees are the ones that burrow into stems and put a little piece of mud, and they kind of live, their little larvae live there over the winter. Well, so he actually gets the houses and then he'll pull out the tubes and put them in his fridge and then bring them back out in the spring just to see them emerge. I don't think you have to do that. He's just interested in it. So it was really neat because we have a co-alliance co-op here. It's a small little feed and like farm store down here in downtown Greenfield. And her name's Kathy. Kathy's the manager, and she was at the meeting. And she ordered some mason bee habitats, like homes, they're covered and they have all those little holes. And it kind of like takes the place of stems because sometimes we clean up so much sometimes in our gardens that there's no place for stem insects to stay over the winter. And they're very important, more important as pollinators than honeybees. And so anyways, she'd gotten some into her job at Co-Alliance, but a couple of them were broken, and she called the company and they were kind enough to say, hey, you can donate them to a nonprofit. And she thought about us. So the master gardeners, I had 2 master gardeners who were married. Actually, they're married to each other. They were visiting me about something else, and they said, oh, we'll fix them. It was just the tops. Their roofs were a little bit broken. So they're going to fix them. And Elaine, well, I think you've met Joe, but I don't know if you've met Elaine yet. Maybe you have. I think so. But anyways, Joe and Elaine, she's the demonstration garden committee leader, and she was excited to put them in the demonstration garden here because I think it'll be nice to have those mason bees to show people that you can have them and what they're doing, and they're not scary. I actually just got some master gardeners who were thinking about putting a honeybee hive here. And I don't know, does anyone here have honeybee hives? Nope. Well, I have honeybee hives, and they basically grow like right now. They're always alive and awake, even in the wintertime. They're just quiet, but they'll really start exponentially growing in the spring. And that's when you can do splits to make more hives and more queens. But then in August or September, those hives have about 120,000 bees in them, and they're mad and hot and mad and hot. And especially if it's a strong hive, it's going to be a mad hive sometimes. And you don't want to mow by them without a helmet to protect yourself, just in case they're mad. Because bees, I don't know if you know this, bees can recognize your face for a few days. I don't know how long they can recognize your face. It depends on how long they live, obviously. And worker bees only live like 6 weeks at most in the summertime. But if they're mad at you, they're going to sting you. Anyways, so if you're mowing and they just decide to get mad at you, it's a horrible situation. So anyways, I told the master gardeners, we care about our mowing crew, and I don't want to cause our mowing crew any grief. So let's just focus on our native bees here and not honeybees. Even though in general, if you have your honeybees somewhere where you don't have to mow and you have them where you're not walking, and you go and visit them on good weather days and not overcast days, then thank you, Bobby. Then the bees won't really usually bother you, but when you're mowing by them and if they decide to get upset about something, that's really no fun. So I didn't want us to have it at our demonstration garden. Plus, people sometimes are afraid of bees and allergic to bees. So I thought we should focus more on our native populations. Thank you, Bobby. Oh, did you even put it where it is? Nice. Oh my gosh, you're the best, Bobby. Okay, I'm going to show you, if I can find it here. I'm going to show you we looked at a stink bug underneath the it's not a microscope, it's like a magnifying lens thing that you can see. Jackie got here. Awesome. So I'm going to share my screen. All right, let's see if I can just play this. So basically, this is a marmorated stink bug, and this is the top of it. Can you guys see it? If you're afraid of bugs, don't look. But it's not alive. This is its head, and you probably know this is its thorax, and the back underneath this is its abdomen. But I can't wait till when we turn it over. It's so cool. I had no idea how long their proboscises are. Proboscis are. That's its little eyes, its antenna. Oh, look how you can see all the little lenses in the eyes.
Who took the picture?
I was doing it underneath a microscope kind of thing. Not a microscope, but like a, it's this thing right here. Can you
I
guys
was
see
wondering
it?
how you got so close.
Yeah, it's like a magnifying lens that can connect to my computer. I hope I turn it over here in a second. We'll see. I'm glad Bobby did this. Oh, here, I'm turning it over right here. Here it is. So weird. Look, that's its proboscis, that it's the piercing sucking part that sucks juices out of plants. That's why, and it's like a long straw. Do I move it back? Oh, this is some other bug. I think this is a cricket, but I'm just going to see if I can find the straw again. I had no idea that the way they hold their proboscis is down their belly, basically down their belly. See? So it's almost like they're carrying around their own straw down their entire, it almost reaches down to their, all the way down to their middle abdomen. Isn't that interesting? So when they were talking about the, see, there's the end of it, the proboscis. I thought it was interesting when she also said, you know, there are some stink bugs that aren't the invasive kind that cause problems. But these guys are some that can cause problems for horticulture plants. And it's because they basically pierce and suck that those juices that the plants need. Thanks, Bobby, for finding that for us. Anybody have any questions about that part of the, I thought that was interesting. You guys want to look at the quiz? Let's look at the quiz together. All right, what proportion of insects in your yard are pests? Remember what they said about that?
Less than 3%.
That's right.
I'd start with the one I'm confident on.
What was that?
I thought I would start with answering one I'm confident with.
Oh, that's good. Thanks, Jackie. Good. All right, I kind of gave you this answer. What are the names of the 3 main body regions of an insect? We just kind of saw it on the stink bug. Head.
Thorax.
Yeah. And Jessica, what about the last one?
Abdomen.
Yes,
Oh, baby.
that's right. What is the difference between complete and incomplete metamorphosis? How can knowing the difference help you understand how to better manage a pest insect? So let's start with incomplete.
Looks like a smaller version of the adult insect.
That's right. They basically all look like little adults. That's right. And complete is the opposite, which is what?
Egg to adult.
Yep. Egg to adult, and the nymphs look different than the adults. So for instance, Monarch is a complete metamorphosis, right? Because it's a caterpillar to a butterfly. So it's a totally different looking larva form compared to the adult. Does that make sense to everybody? Anybody have any questions? Go
I
ahead,
do.
Zach.
I need clarification. When you say the word nymphs,
Yeah.
what, I don't get an image in my head other than some female form coming out of the ocean. So what do I need to replace it with?
All right, let's do that. Let's look at it. Very good question. Let's look at a ladybug nymph that she was talking about last night. So isn't it funny that this is what a ladybug larva or nymph, that's another name for it. That's what they look like. And this nymph goes through stages. So there's different stages of it. Let's look at this one. There's different, they basically molt to get bigger and bigger, and then they pupate, and then it becomes a ladybug.
Okay, so what you're doing for me is when I look at the cycle, I'm looking with my glasses, but I don't see the word nymph.
True.
See, and that's where I think the people that are rocking and rolling in this world have created a language. So I think what I'm thinking the nymph is the teenager form of something.
Yeah, the babies, yes.
I don't think it's the baby.
It was not the egg.
No. So any one of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are all nymphs in that diagram of cycle.
Yes, that's what I would believe, but I'm going to look it up.
So there isn't a one nymph.
Correct. It's the stages of the nymph. Let's see. Oh, great. Now I'm going to get some weird Greek mythology. Just a second.
That's all right. Good to know you're human.
It's a very good question. I guess I've just always called it nymph, and I don't want to be telling you the wrong thing.
Well, they were calling them that last night too. So I think it's the lingo that you guys are morphed to.
I believe it. You're right. Let's see here. Guess what I'm going to go to? I'm going to go to my handy dandy 4-H stuff.
While you're looking at that, I wanted to chime in on something. I kind of agree with Jackie. I kind of felt that, and I had to kind of go in and out so a few times. So I guess maybe I didn't get the whole picture, but like they don't do what like the regular gardeners would do. Like people brought up like neem oil and a lot of other stuff that regular gardens do, and they're like, well, we don't know anything about that. And then the ladybug thing, I should have chimed in last night, but I didn't. Isn't there a ladybug that's invasive?
Yes, that's right. Yep.
And did they bring that up? Did I walk out when they brought that up?
They did not bring that up. Nope. And those are the Asian ladybugs. Yeah. Okay. So it basically just, these are very good questions. Basically young are just known as nymphs. So,
I gotcha. I don't have to try to put it on any one stage necessarily.
yeah,
Okay, that
it's
helps.
basically egg, then the young and adult. So that is
Okay.
a very good question. That was, yeah. And so that would be the incomplete metamorphosis ones that don't go into a pupa. Pupa is where those nymphs turn into a different animal altogether. Like when have you guys ever seen a monarch caterpillar emerge from its, well, first of all, have you ever seen it turn into a chrysalis? Have you ever seen that cool thing happen? Anybody?
I have not.
Oh my gosh, it is so amazing. Do you grow any, do you have any milkweed at home that you could maybe one day see this? Because this is really amazing. It like changes your life. Go ahead.
Yeah, we do milkweed, and last year we found one starting to form, and I was just surprised at how fast it happens. Like it turns into the chrysalis, and then I don't know, it seemed to happen so fast, the caterpillar to the chrysalis, I guess. And then it
It
was like 2
really,
weeks later, and just bam, all of a sudden there's a butterfly.
it really is. So what's interesting is I used to think before I saw it, I thought it turned into a chrysalis, but really the chrysalis is underneath this skin. It's very interesting. So basically the caterpillar, the monarch butterfly caterpillar, gets into this quote J shape. And this is from the University of Florida, I think, or the Florida Museum, University of Florida. So let's see this little guy. Let's just watch this. Well, we're not going to listen to music because you can't hear it very well, but you get the point. He's eating a lot. That's what they do. They just eat a lot. And now he's in his J shape. And look, he's splitting down the top. He's split down the top, and this is the chrysalis under it. And he's connected up here with the spinneret with these silks. Okay, keep watching. And he's basically, yeah. What happens is he's basically contracting and it's pushing that skin upwards. And actually, this made me understand childbirth a lot more. This is all biological. I'm just going to talk about how our bodies work. Women, and I remember learning this before I had children, they talked about your uterus doesn't push out a baby. Your uterus actually goes up around the baby. It contracts up and around the baby to cause the baby to move out. That's exactly what the skin's doing. It's basically moving up and off of the chrysalis. And then it's really cool. There's something special at the very top that they have like these little dots. You can kind of see it right here, these little dots. And they actually hold the skin, but then they kind of let go of the skin when it's just the right time. And then right now it's going to basically get more shaped. So it takes a little bit to kind of get contracted into the right shape. And so this chrysalis then is going to be where the monarch butterfly is going to grow. And you're right, just like Corey said, it's very fast. You might even miss it if you're watching your caterpillar, and it happens that they can lose their skin, shed their skin to become a chrysalis like in 30 minutes. So it's easy to miss. But anyways, if you have milkweed at home, you can find one of those very large caterpillars, bring them in with like a stick that they could easily connect to, and then you could like just stare at them. They're going to come through probably in July. And then of course you want to have a place where the monarch can then dry out, because did you see how large the abdomen was when that butterfly came out? See how it's almost like really, really fat. Well, that's where all her fluids are, or his fluids. And I can't tell if it's a boy or girl. And they're going to push out into their wings. So that's why that butterfly has to wait for its wings to emerge and get all those fluids pushed out from its abdomen. And so then you want to, of course, release your butterfly. So, but it's a really fun thing to see. So they may have questions about that. I love that kind of stuff. That was a really good question, Jackie. I'm glad you brought up nymphs. So I'm sorry that we do probably have our own vocabulary.
No. It's just we're the good news is we're able to see what you don't see since you've already been morphed.
Yep. And plus I was kind of, I think even as a child, I just said stuff like that, but I didn't think about it. I just love that kind of stuff. I mean, I was the kind of kid that back in the day, I just looked at encyclopedias. Like I loved, especially the back with the frog, to see all the different parts of the frog. So I love that kind of stuff. So I'm glad you asked. All right, let's look at signs and symptoms of aphids feeding on a plant. So remember what signs are again?
Sorry, I don't think that we answered the second question of number 3.
Oh, thanks. Good one, Jessica. Okay. Why is it important to know these, to know how to manage them? Why is that important?
Would that be because sometimes like the complete metamorphosis, the adults kind of go to different areas to feed. So by knowing if it's incomplete or complete, you kind of can gauge what kind of issues and problems it's going to have if you keep those pests there.
That's exactly right. And what was one that we saw last night that was very obvious that we deal with a lot? The complete one that feeds on a lot of things. Remember that? It's a beetle.
Japanese beetle.
That's right, Japanese beetle. And they're the guys that are the grubs possibly eating your turf. They also eat other roots. They're under the ground most of their time of life, and then they come out and do that skeletonizing of all those delicious leaves. They can eat so many different kinds of leaves. Do you guys deal with those on your cherry trees or anything like that?
I get them on my roses and I pinched them regularly daily. I go out and pinch them and I thought, you're not going to live here.
That's right. Good. Yeah. Does it help, Jackie, to basically keep them from breeding more? Does it help?
I don't know. I just didn't, I don't know. This
Yeah.
is new to me.
Yeah. And just like Laura was saying, you can get a little bit of water with a little bit of dish soap in it so that it breaks that surface tension in a cup. And actually their defense mechanism is to just drop off of a plant. So if you even kind of get over them and kind of scare them with your hand above them, you don't even have to touch them. They'll drop into the cup and they'll just drown. So
I actually murdered them. So they were mush when I took them off my roses.
I'm so impressed by you. That's like really hardcore, man. But you must hate them. You're like, no.
No, they're going.
You're brave. I don't like squishing things. It makes me feel weird. But I guess if they're bothering you enough, it's worth it. Yeah. It's whatever works to get rid of them. That's good. Because there's not very many predators for them, unfortunately. Except for maybe moles that eat the grubs and some parasites that will, lay eggs in their body and kind of eat them up, but not a lot of parasites. There's not enough of them to keep them under control. Thanks, Jessica, for letting me know I forgot that one. What are some signs and symptoms of aphids feeding on a plant? Remember what signs are?
Sweet, sticky excretion.
That's also called what? Remember that?
I got some others. There was the honeydew, sooty.
Yeah, it's called honeydew. That's right. Yep. What else you were going to say?
The other one is last night they talked about exoskeletal remains or something. I don't know.
That's right.
Looks like the stuff people get off their head when they have that flaky stuff.
Yep. It's basically their body. That's how the aphids grow, is they basically molt. And a lot of times when you see a spider dead in your house, not to be scary, but it's mostly just the molting. Like it's just gotten bigger and it's somewhere else. That's kind of, I don't mean to be scary. Spiders, I'm not very scared of spiders, so I didn't mean to be scary, but we think it's a dead spider, but it's just the skin of the spider and it's grown. That's how bugs grow, is they fall out of they basically have to release their skeleton outside of them, and they're kind of soft and kind of very vulnerable during that time. And that's how they grow. And so when you see these remains, you know that there was an aphid around. So that was a sign that there was aphids around. So it's basically their parts from their bodies that showed that there was a sign that they were there. What's a symptom mean? What would a symptom be on a plant of aphids?
Twisted curly leaves, chlorosis.
Yep, that's right. And why do you think it would be twisted leaves and chlorosis? What are they doing?
They have the sucking mouth part.
That's right. So they're basically just using it like a shake, and they're like loving all the juice, and they're just drinking all your plant juice. And obviously the plant needs all that stuff to make a living, like they said last night. And so that's why it starts looking yellowish, because it's losing all its good stuff to make food. Good job, guys. Anybody have any questions about that? Okay, let's talk about lacewings. Is a lacewing a good or bad insect, and what does it feed on?
It's a beneficial insect. The larvae are predators and feed on aphids, but the adults are pollinators.
Yes. Good job. Anybody have any questions about that? Did you see their eggs last night? The way they put their eggs on the plants? I thought those look like little balloons almost.
I think they're also kind of cute.
Yeah, they are. We already talked about this. I guess I gave you this answer. What do Japanese beetles feed on as adults and grubs? So first adults.
Last night they said they feed on anything.
Yep. So over 300 different species of leaves. That's crazy.
And flowers.
Yep, that's right. And what about the grubs?
They eat the grass roots.
That's right. That's right. Good job. We talked about this, I think, a couple weeks ago. What are plant galls? Remember that? We talked about the maple galls, I'm sorry, the oak leaf galls. Remember what that is? They didn't talk about this last night, did they?
They mentioned them.
Yeah.
It's an abnormal vegetable growth that are usually formed as a response of somewhat fungus or mites or insects. I don't know. I know they're ugly little lumps that drive me crazy.
Yep. So it is a growth of the plant as a response to an injury. So it could be, it's usually by a specific insect like a wasp, a fly, and some aphids. So like gall wasps, that's how they basically have their young, is they lay their eggs on the leaf and then a gall forms around it. I think we talked about this last. I know they're weird looking, but this is how the wasps live, and this is how they basically make more. So it makes a gall around their eggs, and then they'll eventually hatch. So that tree is having a reaction to that wasp laying that egg. Oh, good. Gwen got some milkweed seed to grow. Good. I think that you'll like seeing your monarchs on there. I don't raise my monarchs. I don't think it's, I mean, there's some people that do, and I'm not going to tell them not to do it, but it sounds like the Monarch Society basically says it's not the best practices because you could have sanitation issues that cause diseases to spread easily. So you have to be careful. But if you just bring one caterpillar in and feed it to its cycle and get to watch it, just that one, you're not raising them in terms of having like 50 and then not being able to feed them. Sometimes people get 50 eggs, but they don't have enough milkweed to feed them. And that's, you just, sometimes nature kind of just takes its course. And they won't all make it, sadly, out in nature either. But so I know people like to raise them, but just having one is not the same as raising them in a commercial way. List 3 strategies that could be incorporated into an IPM plan. IPM stands for what, first of all?
And the integrated pest management.
That's right. Yes. Yes. So what are 3 strategies that could be incorporated into that? So basically we're thinking about how to, we've kind of talked about this with the disease triangle. So pests can be diseases also. So what can we do that lowers our pest predation and our pest pressures?
I wrote down that if you scout early and often would be one.
Yes,
To know your signs and symptoms. And then
yes,
to learn and identify the good and bad.
yes, good point. Know your enemy. Yes. Anybody else have other thoughts that you might have written down? Do you remember when she showed that netting that she even like sometimes protects her plants from? You can actually do the physical barrier. There's also the timing of planting. Someone asked about how to maybe planting sacrificial crops. And there was a person down in Arkansas that shared about trap cropping. Of course, it would be different timing than ours, but it looked like they used Hubbard squash to try to put into the ground quicker so that they could grow their zucchini and try to keep the squash vine borer from bothering those. So you can think about different types of planting and timing of planting as well, and the type of variety that you're choosing to try to lower that inclination for the pests to want to bother your garden. Does that make sense? Describe 2 characteristics of pollinators other than honeybees that may be in your garden. So what are some characteristics of pollinators besides honeybees that might be there? We talked about the mason bees. I'll put mason bees. What other kind of pollinators are in there?
Oh, I found when I did the quick look, bats, birds,
Yep.
butterflies, beetles is what they came up with, but I'm not too sure what the characteristics are other than the normal touch and move for pollination.
You know, they say bats, but there's not many bats here in our area that are pollinators, but I'll put that just for general. But there's more, I think bats like more over in Australia are more pollinators. I don't think any bats around here are. That's what I've heard at least, but I'll put it. But definitely
So
moths. You know, there's a lot of moths that are pollinators too, that for nighttime, because there's plants that bloom in the nighttime sometimes.
So you're talking about the bats that are maybe like fruit bats?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. We'll just have to have a talk with our bats to do better.
Yeah, exactly. Solitary bees. So basically they were saying, I think they just wanted to know where do they live? So let's talk about where beetles kind of live in the winter. What's their habitat? Remember what they were saying, kind of sometimes they lay their eggs in the soil. They could be grubs. Fireflies. Do you know fireflies are a pollinator? They become glowworms and they are just kind of like grubs in the soil, but they also kind of walk on top of the soil, and they're very sensitive to actually grubicide. So if you're using grubicide for your Japanese beetles, you will be hurting the firefly larva as well, sadly. But firefly larvae, depending on the type, can live for 2 years as the nymph stage or larva stage. And if you could see them really close, they actually do glow. That's why they're called glowworms. I think that's interesting. People are still doing a lot of research on fireflies. There's a really awesome book written by this lady. I don't know if I have it right here. Oh yeah, I do. Fireflies, glowworms, and lightning bugs. It is amazing. If you like fireflies, she does research on fireflies. And the way she started it was, her name's Lynn Frierson Faust. She actually her grandma had a farm down in central Tennessee, and she started learning about fireflies when she became a master naturalist. That's like kind of like a master gardener, but it's about nature more than just gardening. And so anyways, she started doing this research, and she read about this person in doing research over in Asia, and it was a specific type of firefly that blinked at a synchronous way with its friends. And he said that there's nothing in the West that has that synchronous firefly, but she remembered as a kid, well, we saw those synchronous patterns down in Tennessee. Anyways, they found out, yes, there's fireflies in the United States and the Western Hemisphere that have synchronous patterns of flight and light. Anyways, there's a lot of research still being done and a lot of things still unknown and a lot of species still being discovered. So there's not just one type of firefly. They actually fly different ways. They actually have different patterns of light. They actually have different colors of light. I think that's kind of cool. So science is still growing and we're still discovering things just right here in our backyards. So
Fireflies rule on my property. So could you put that in the chat box, what you said, the name of the book and the author, please?
yes. Did you say, do you have fireflies, you said?
Absolutely. You ought to, I have a place when they're in there. Oh man, it's almost like looking at Christmas lights and over. Anyway, they rule. They rule, period, here at my place.
I know, and they're beautiful. And I don't know if you feel the same way. Oh, I didn't know firefly was our state insect. Thanks, Gwen. Thanks. I had no idea. But it's just so relaxing to go outside and just see those lights. And I don't know, Jackie, if you see them in your trees, that's another thing. Some
Absolutely.
fireflies, okay, some fireflies are more arboreal, which means they're more woodland, and some are more wet area, like on the ground. So it's like you said, it's like Christmas when you have those arboreal ones up really high in the trees. It's almost like there's so many light. It gives me actually goosebumps. You can see so many lights in the trees. It does look like it's a light show of Christmas. It's beautiful. That's cool that you get to enjoy that, Jackie. That means you have a very good ecosystem also, because fireflies are kind of sensitive to environmental things. So that's good that you have a good ecosystem to have those.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a blessing. What is a generalist natural enemy? Give an example. How can understanding the difference between a specialist or generalist natural enemy help you determine how effective it will be against a pest in your garden? What is a generalist natural enemy, you think?
What I heard him talking about last night or whatever, a generalist is a non-target specific enemy.
Yes. So kind of like, did you know that yellow jackets are carnivorous? I mean, unless sometimes they will need sugar to raise their young. That's why they're on your Coke cans out in the fall, because they're trying to get enough sugar before to get ready for winter. But most of the time, to raise their young, they are carnivores. So they're going to eat caterpillars, and so they're bringing in any kind of caterpillars. They're not choosing just one. So a yellow jacket is a generalist, and so is a hornet. Hornets are generalists. They will get any kind of caterpillars. What other kind of generalist insects can you think of?
They mentioned ground beetles, I think.
Yes, that's right. Those are nighttime predators. Those are so cool. They're just black beetles that scavenge across the ground and eat a lot of other insects. And that's what actually firefly larvae also do. They go across the ground and they're just eating all kinds of stuff, including other insects. Yep. Anybody have any questions about our quiz at all? Did you know also another pollinator that we don't think about sometimes are mosquitoes? I know that mosquitoes can carry diseases, but the male mosquitoes are usually just living their lives, they never bite anybody, and they're big pollinators. So, and the females are also pollinators and only get a blood meal when they need to lay eggs. So they just need that protein. But We don't want them to grow because they can have diseases. So try not to have your, water around your yard and any kind of upturned bucket. Make sure you kind of think about where they're growing and try to prevent them from growing because they can carry diseases. Anybody have any questions about any of that? I like talking about insects, you can't tell. Well, I wanted to introduce, I saw Teresa came in, Teresa Rausch. I can't remember when you took the class, Teresa.
I took the class, this is just over a year ago. It was the fall of 2020.
Okay, got it. Yes. And I think you were my first class, and obviously it was all virtual.
Yep.
And so tell us about you and where you live, what you do, and what you do as a master gardener.
So I actually live in Rush County, and Hancock County has just been so kind to adopt me and take me under their wing as I learn all about being a master gardener. I raise chickens and rabbits, and I do quite a bit of gardening and preserving of that food. Some of my favorite things to grow are garlic. I think I harvested over 400 garlic cloves last year. Yeah. I just finished dehydrating my first batch of garlic and put it up in little slices, and I'll use that for garlic powder eventually. My other favorite way to preserve garlic is to mince it, and I just use a food processor to do that, and put it in ice cube trays and pour coconut oil over it and freeze those cubes. And then when I go to saute something, I can just pull a couple cubes out of the freezer. Yeah, potatoes, tomatoes, peppers. I started an herb garden last year and it did so well. I have had so many herbs. And so part of my plan this year is to learn how to use the herbs to help my animals be as healthy as they can be. So what I've done as a master gardener, I'm primarily behind the scenes person. I help out a lot with the media team, and what we do is get our name and our face out there for the public to know about us, to know that we are a resource for them and their gardening, their horticultural needs. Maybe they're having a pest issue, they can contact us and we can do some research for them and help them out that way. So we have a very visible presence on Facebook, and I've been helpful in getting posts out there on a regular basis to help educate people how to, how to take care of your lawn, the right season to plant grass seed, when you should trim your trees, how to start seeds, how to preserve some of what you grow, just lots of different gardening and horticultural topics, and flowers and houseplants too. I've been trying to include more of that lately. So we also have a website, and that's where you can go and learn more about us and where the scholarship information is posted, and I'll talk about that in just a little bit. You can also access past copies of the newsletter. We've been getting that set up so you can read those as well. What else media wise? We take care of promoting the plant sale and the Green Thumb activities and other activities that we're involved in throughout the year. And then the scholarship team, which I'm a part of, our Hancock County Master Gardeners offers a $1,000 scholarship annually to a student from either Hancock County or Henry County who is going to be majoring in either horticulture or a related field. And we are in the process of getting the application for this year's scholarship on the website, and we let all of the schools know of the availability of the scholarship. So the professionals at the high school can let the students know of the scholarships availability. And then as a team, we put together the application, and then we come together. Well, I shouldn't say we come together. We individually review the applications, and we came up with a little bit of scoring system last year. And then we come together and make a recommendation to the Hancock County Master Gardeners in general, and they then vote on who will receive the scholarship for that year. So yeah, in a nutshell, that's what I've been doing.
That's awesome, Teresa. I just shared all the links of what you work on the Facebook page. I also shared the event for the spring green thumb that's coming up on the 19th.
Great.
Is that right? The 19th. Let me check.
Yes.
Yes, the 19th, which is a Saturday here at our Hancock County Public Library. And also they have like Teresa said, they have a website that's very helpful. That in fact, people go and just will ask Master Gardener, they'll send them a question, and then people will write back to people. It's very helpful. It's very helpful. And I really appreciate all that the media committee does. And Teresa, tell how you do find your content for your Facebook. I know you're very careful to make sure it's research based.
So I've learned over the last year of finding content for the Facebook page. I've learned to steer clear of pages that are really more about promoting themselves instead of gardening and horticulture. If they have a shop where they're selling products of their own, I steer clear from them. I like to go to the Purdue website and the Purdue YouTube page and pull information from there. I'm following several groups or pages on Facebook where I get a lot of information from. Actually, a few other Master Gardener groups. I follow them, from a couple from Indiana and a couple from Ohio. I think one from Illinois as well. And then I've been doing this over the last year. I've just collected a list of websites that I have in a file that I will check periodically. Okay, is this something that might appeal to the people that will be looking at the Facebook page, and looking for things that are seasonal related right now, like this time of year, getting seeds started. When is an okay time for me to be putting things outside based on the region that I live in? Yeah, so I don't know if I answered your question or not, but that's kind of.
You did. You answered it very well. You did great.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for Teresa? I would love to hear what you're thinking about growing for your animals. I know you were going to one day think about comfrey. I don't know what you're growing for your animals.
So I had one comfrey plant that did really, really well last year, but I didn't harvest anything from it because it was the only plant I had. It's my first year to grow it, and I wanted to really give it a chance to get established. And so my goal is I have a particular area designated for the comfrey, is to encourage it to grow along this particular area. So I planted oats last fall, and was able to harvest some of them to feed to my rabbits. And of course, they love carrots. And I just harvested some baby carrots a couple of days ago, and carrots are like candy to rabbits. So you can't feed them a whole lot, but it's good for them to have a treat also. When my strawberries come up here in a couple of months, when they start to when they lose their firmness and get smushy and just aren't what I would like to eat, my chickens, oh my gosh, they about run me over. Somehow they know that's what I'm bringing out to them, and they about run me over when I take them out there. But there's other things. I had a sick rabbit last year, and I was able to do foraging in my yard and treat her that way. She's recovered and had several litters since then. And then I use a lot of herbs for my own personal health as well. So just you just have to do the research, and I don't like to trust one source. I always go and check 3 or 4 different places out before I'll start doing something like that.
That's awesome. Thanks, Teresa. So I want everyone to know that this is how Teresa gets her volunteer hours. So if you, for some reason, I mean, if you like technology, if you like communication, that's important. Like that's just as important as someone coming here and doing mulch, you know, at the demonstration garden. And so everyone has their strengths. And I love that, Teresa, you're using your strengths of communication and sharing information with people. And that counts as volunteer hours.
I have 2 more things, Lacey, if I could.
Please, please.
So this year, I'm going to be taking over facilitating the newsletter for Hancock County Master Gardeners, kind of backing away from Facebook a little bit. And so if anybody would like to write an article about anything horticulture, gardening related, especially for this time of year with spring, Lacey, you can put my email address out there. Please go ahead and send me an article. I would love to be able to include something from even the new interns that are coming up. And then the other thing, the media team is in need of a couple of people who are WordPress savvy. We could use some help with managing the website. We have a gentleman right now who does fantastic with it. He is stretched in a lot of different ways, and we need to diversify and have a few more people that are able to do that. So if that's something that you're familiar with and be willing to help us out with, again, there's my email address. Please feel free to contact me, and I'll put you in touch with the right person. And that would be a big help to us.
That's awesome. And don't feel like your article has to be, you know, too fancy. Like even if Jackie wanted to talk about her fireflies and take a picture, people love to hear about what's going on in your backyard, what you're seeing, what you're working on, what you're doing. Don't you agree, Teresa?
Absolutely, I sure do. The first time I did it on a cold frame that my husband had built for me, and what I had grown in and how that all worked out. And pictures are great. Send a couple pictures if you choose to write something. Everybody loves pictures.
And even if it's hard to get your pictures up on the computer, you can text pictures to me or to Teresa, I'm sure. Do you do texting, Teresa?
I do, yes.
Yep, yep. So just take a picture.
Question.
Go ahead.
Teresa said they needed help at something, and since I didn't know what she said, I can either go 2 ways. 1, I'm interested, or 2, if you don't even know what she said, you probably don't want to get your feet in there.
Okay, good point. So she said she needs help with someone who might be interested in WordPress. I know she said that, right, Teresa?
Yes, someone who has familiarity with using WordPress. That's the software that we use to manage the website. Does that answer your question, Jackie?
It did. Thank you. I'll check it out. We'll see what happens.
Okay.
Thank you, sweetie. Good hearing from you.
Good to hear from you too.
I'm going to share the website. First of all, here's their awesome website. They have who we are, mission. They also have a place where people can go to if they're wanting to become a master gardener. And down here, it's where they can sign up on my Google form. So I make sure I send them an email. I think many of you were on that form, weren't you? Because I send that out before every class. Hopefully you heard about it through that. Oh, I need to change the address. We have the address change. We found out our
I'll take care of that.
Oh, thanks, Teresa.
You're
We found out our office was on Park Street and not Apple Street, which I'm kind of glad that the city wanted to change it, because when we go across the road to get the mail, it was like playing Frogger back in the day. That there's an old video game. It was very scary. So I'm glad that we got a mailbox that we don't have to walk across a busy road. But anyways, this is a great little website with all kinds of information, but it is hosted on WordPress. I'm actually taking a class about WordPress. So even if you're interested and you don't know, maybe we can learn together and I'll help you. It's mostly about interest. You know what I mean? People who are interested. Then the Facebook, I think it's cool because in the back end, if you've never seen a back end of a page, you can see how many people liked certain posts that Teresa and Bruce did. And you can kind of see what people are most interested in organically. I'm sure we don't probably pay for posts to be boosted, but you could. But so you can find out what posts are most liked. Looks like people are interested in ephemerals and native plants. And so I think that's interesting too. I don't know how much the media team looks at that, but it really helps to know what people are interested in and kind of get your pulse on the community. So I just want to show you that back end if you've never seen a Facebook page insights. Thanks for all you do, Teresa. I really appreciate it.
I enjoy it, Lace. Thank you.
Good.
Yeah. Hopefully I'll see you on the 19th.
Yes, I'll be there. I'm excited about it. Hopefully, if anyone else wants to come, maybe we'll see you on the 19th. It's going to be at the library from 9:30 to about 11:30-ish. We're going to talk about soil health, and there's going to be booths there. It's real fun. The different master gardeners that are interested in different aspects of horticulture will be talking about their specific interest in their booths. And the education committee, remember, Vicki Snar talked about this. In fact, I think she was just calling me. She's the one that is organizing this, but a lot of people work on it, and hopefully you guys can join us. But I'll see you again next week, of course. Thank you so much, Teresa, for joining us and sharing what you do.
You're very welcome.
Anybody have any questions, just let me know throughout this week, okay? It's already 1 o'clock. Time flies. Take care of yourselves, everyone.
All right. See ya.
Bye.